Based on the title alone, one would guess that the Star Wars universe has seen its fair share of galaxy-spanning conflicts, and that assumption would be a correct one. The Star Wars galaxy seems to be in a perpetual state of war, whether between the Jedi and the Sith, or the Empire of the day and some smaller faction. Conflicts are as common in the Star Wars universe as things like hyperspace and lightsabers, but what are the 5 most destructive, most deadly, most galaxy-spanning conflicts in Star Wars Legends history? That's the question that we're trying to answer on today's episode. If you guys do end up liking today's Star Wars lore episode, don't forget to drop a like and leave a comment down in the comment section letting me know if I missed anything, whether you just liked the episode, and of course, any ideas you have for future videos. If you guys like the content I make and would like to be further involved in the community, feel free to join the Discord, which has now reached over 1,200 members, which is completely insane to me, or follow me on Twitter. Links for both are down in the description. Anyway, as I mentioned, today we're looking at the 5 largest wars in galactic history. To try to make this list more interesting, I'm gonna exclude both the Clone Wars and the Galactic Civil War, because those are detailed pretty well in the movies and they're not that interesting to talk about, at least compared with some of the things that we'll be bringing up today. Also, in order to get as much information as possible in this video, I have grouped some conflicts together, but I'll get to that as we get there. The 5th largest conflict in galactic history is the Great Hyperspace War, and this is one that is mentioned a lot, but a lot of you probably don't have a good understanding of it. The Great Hyperspace War saw the first emergence of the Sith in galactic history. Before that, dark side users were generally limited to being dark Jedi, and they emerged through the various great schisms and other internal wars within the Jedi Order. At one point after the Jedi Civil Wars, many of the Dark Jedi fled to the planet of Korriban and interacted with what was at that point the Sith. Now, early Sith weren't some sort of religious order, they were actually a species that lived on the planet of Korriban. However, after many years of sharing Korriban, the Sith and the Jedi exiles essentially became one and the same. The Sith developed on their own away from the Galactic Empire, capturing other planets in the far reaches of the galaxy. Eventually, under the leadership of Sith Lord Naga Sato, the Sith would invade the galaxy at large. Although the Republic, who was the dominant government in the galaxy at that point, had a much larger military force than the Sith, Naga Sato and his use of battle meditation helped the Sith secure some important early victories as they pushed towards the center of the galaxy. Sago also used Force illusions to help make his forces seem larger. At the Battle of Coruscant, which I've covered in a previous video, actually a very early video on my channel, the Jedi discovered Naga Sato's illusions and used that knowledge to defeat the Sith once and for all, or so they thought. Many Sith would actually survive this conflict, including notably Lord Vitiate. He would go on to amass a great deal of power, leading to the Great Galactic War. On the other side of galactic history, we have the Sith-Imperial War. Now, instead of happening in early galactic history, this happened near the edge of the Star Wars legend continuity, starting in 127 years after the Battle of Yavin. The state of the galaxy and the origins of this war are actually fairly complicated. Much of that is because of just how much has happened since the Battle of Endor and the fall of the Empire, which is the state in which most fans are most familiar with. What's important though is that the galaxy is still trying to recover from the devastating Yuuzhan Vong War. Currently, the main government is the Galactic Federation of Free Alliances. Opposing the Federation is the Fel Empire, which is essentially made up of Imperial remnants. The war started because of the failed, or should I say sabotaged, Ossus project. The Yuuzhan Vong did serious damage to many planets during the war, including Coruscant. The Ossus project was supposed to use Yuuzhan Vong technology to actually bring these planets back to a healthy state. The project was sabotaged by the Sith and failed spectacularly. This caused the galaxy as a whole to lose their faith in the Galactic Federation of Free Alliances. The Fel Empire at this point declared war. This was a galaxy-spanning conflict that saw not only a change of active government, but also the extermination of many active Jedi. During the war, the Empire, who would form the next government, worked directly with the Sith. However, after the surrender of the Galactic Federation and the war's end, the Sith actually attacked the Imperials who they had worked with and ended up ruling the galaxy as the new Sith Empire. Eventually, this empire would be defeated, leading to the establishment of the Galactic Federation Triumvirate, which was made up of the Federation, the old Fel Empire, and the Jedi Order. If this all sounds very convoluted and complicated, that's because it is, but there's no denying that this was a gigantic and galaxy-spanning conflict, and in my mind, it is at least the fourth largest conflict in Star Wars history. Number 3 is the New Sith Wars, and in this case, new is a relative term because this conflict ended 1,000 years before the Battle of Yavin. I don't think the exact minutiae of this war are as important as some of the other ones. I think what you should know is that this conflict lasted for over 1,000 years. It also saw the Jedi defeat the Sith for what seemed to be a final time and saw the Sith disappear from the galaxy for over 1,000 years. When you hear, for example, Darth Maul talking about the Sith getting their revenge on the Jedi, he's talking about avenging the Sith's loss in this 1,000-year war. Really, the consequences of this war on galactic history are almost immeasurable. One of the Sith who survived, Darth Bane, instituted the Rule of Two. This changed how the Sith hierarchy worked tremendously. Instead of there being multiple masters and multiple apprentices, often measuring in the thousands or millions, instead there would always be only two, a single master and a single apprentice. This would allow the Sith to stay under the radar, and because of this, many actually presumed that they were fully extinct. This would lead to the downfall of the Jedi Order, as Emperor Palpatine, along with Darth Maul and others, would strike during the Clone Wars, eventually leading to the Jedi Purge. Arguably, this wasn't the sexiest of the many Sith-Jedi conflicts in galactic history, probably didn't have as many flashy moments, but the impact of this war and the formation of the Rule of Two cannot be overstated. You may be saying to yourself, well, it's awfully strange that he said that those wars weren't very sexy. What is even a sexy Sith-Jedi conflict? Well, that would be number 2, the Old Sith Wars. The Old Sith Wars, as the name would suggest, was actually a series of conflicts, including the Great Sith War, the First Jedi Purge, the Mandalorian Wars, and plenty of other events. Unlike the previous entry, the Old Sith Wars only lasted for about 50 years, but while they didn't burn quite as long, they burned very brightly. This series of conflicts started with the Great Sith War, where Sith legends Exar Kun and Ulic Qel-Droma attacked the Republic of the day. This outburst was relatively surprising because after the Great Hyperspace War, which I mentioned earlier in this list, there was some peace within the galaxy. However, when the Sith returned this time, they were more numerous, more skilled, and just generally more powerful. Though the Sith would eventually be defeated in this first conflict, the war was a very long one, fraught with many battles, and up to 1/4 of the galaxy was seriously devastated by this war. The Mandalorians, being the war-craving people that they are, would see this destruction, would see the Republic's weakness, and would start invading planets, leading to the Mandalorian Wars. The Republic, with the help of the Jedi, would defeat the Mandalorians. However, the Jedi heroes of this war, Revan and Malak, would turn to the dark side and would lead to their own war now against the Republic. This is what's referred to as the Jedi Civil War and encompasses the events in Knights of the Old Republic 1. Eventually, Revan would turn back to the light side and would help defeat Malak, leading to the end of this conflict and of this version of the Sith Empire. So already within this larger war, we have 3 sub-conflicts which themselves have been devastating on a galactic level. Of course, and my throat is starting to hurt after talking about this so long, there would be another conflict, the Jedi Purge as portrayed in Knights of the Old Republic 2, which saw many of the Jedi Knights at the time and almost all of the Jedi Order wiped out. Sometime after this, we'd also see the Great Galactic War, which would see much of the galaxy under Sith control. Then after that, also the events of the Eternal Empire. As I explained, the ancient history of the Star Wars universe is very convoluted, which is why I've chose to kind of lump all of these events together as one major conflict. Finally, we have number 1. The most devastating war in galactic history is, in my opinion, undoubtedly the Yuuzhan Vong War. Although only 4 years long, the Yuuzhan Vong War saw the extra-galactic Yuuzhan Vong wipe out much of the Star Wars galaxy. When the Yuuzhan Vong invaded in their strange biological ships, they very quickly moved through the woefully unprepared New Republic, taking planets with ease. The New Republic was completely unprepared on both logistics and a technological level to face these very strange invaders. As they moved towards the center of the galaxy, the Yuuzhan Vong terraformed entire planets, destroying all living beings in the process. This threat was so great that every faction within the Star Wars universe worked together to try to repel the invaders. They would eventually do so, but not before the loss of countless planets, including even Coruscant, and the loss of trillions, if not hundreds of trillions of lives. Perhaps most devastatingly to fans of the Star Wars franchise, one of those lost lives was in fact Chewbacca. On the other hand, at least we got rid of Borsk-Phalia. Chewbacca and the 100 or so trillion lives are probably at least worth that. Really hate that Bothan. Eventually, the newly formed Galactic Alliance would manage to push back the Yuuzhan Vong, but as I said, not before the galaxy was devastated, and truly, this conflict would be felt very heavily throughout the remainder of recorded galactic history. Anyways guys, that's my list of the 5 most devastating conflicts within Star Wars history. Let me know what you thought of this list. Did I miss something? Did I get the conflict that you liked the most? Are you happy with how much time I spent on the Old Republic? Do you wish I'd kind of looked elsewhere? Let me know all of that and more down in the comments. Also, are you frustrated that I, for example, didn't include the Cyru invasion or the Swarm War, or is there really something else that you think I missed and that I should have included? Anyway, as I said, if you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a like and a comment. Expect a new video tomorrow on more fun Star Wars lore. Anyways, thanks so much for watching guys. This has been EckhartsLadder. May the Force be with you.